Do you ever find yourself doubting your child-free choice because you think you're going to regret it as you get older? There's no type of crystal ball that you can look into to find out if all that unsolicited advice about you regretting your choice is actually going to come true. But you do tend to have some hindsight into the situation as you get older. And in today's video, we are going to be looking at what some older women are saying about their choice to live a child-free life. Welcome to Wife Without Kids. I'm Hannah. This channel is all about supporting you in your choice to live the child-free life. Christine, age 52, says this. I can't remember ever wanting kids. Well, maybe as a preschooler. My mother and stepmother both acted as if child rearing was terrible. It helped that my now husband was adamantly anti-kid. I might have allowed myself to be swayed if he wasn't. My mother is very disappointed in my choice. People say I'm very selfish. And I say they're right. I would totally resent caring for children that I didn't want. Every time I hear about people's problems with children, I feel like I dodged a bullet. I worry occasionally about finding myself alone in a big, indifferent world. But I also know that children can be the ones that put you into a facility against your will. They can steal from you, and they can break your heart. No regrets so far. Interestingly though, I often daydream about stepchildren or foster children. And if I ever change my mind about wanting kids, that's what I'm going to choose to do. I love that she made the choice that fit her, even though she disappointed people in life. To have a kid only so that you don't disappoint people is never a good reason to have a child. I know there are some parents that don't mind the difficulties that come along with raising kids, but if you're not interested in going through the tough stuff, then you probably shouldn't have them. Number 2, Carol, aged 67. I have a very clear memory of babysitting when I was 12 years old and thinking this is never going to be my life. During one of my marriages, my husband convinced me to get pregnant, kind of against my will. I was 37 years old and very conflicted about being pregnant. I ended up having a miscarriage and my husband blamed me. Our marriage never recovered. I have occasionally had fantasies about creating a little mini-me, but I didn't want it bad enough to actually make it happen. I actually do love children and have been very close to my friends' kids and my niece. Every time I go to a special event of one of my friends' kids, like a wedding, I have a twinge because I know I'm never going to experience that with my own child. On the other hand, I have friends whose kids have been killed, committed suicide, have emotional problems, or just completely ignored them. And I realize that it's going to be a never-ending source of agony that I don't think I can handle. Most of the time, I am very comfortable with the choice that I've made. There's always a little bit of what if, but I think that's pretty much true of anything in life. I think that's really true because we can make all sorts of decisions in life and then wonder, wow, I wonder what it would have been like if I made that other decision. And most of the time, we're never actually going to know. And that's okay too. Roberta, aged 72, has this to say about her choice to live a child-free life. I never had any strong urge to be a mother. I was the youngest of 4 children and had little experience with babies. I married a man who, because of his troubled family history, was opposed to fathering a child. I honored that decision, and we both agreed that the world did not need another mouth to feed. That marriage only lasted 3 years, which confirmed the wisdom of my decision. I've never regretted it. In my personal life, I was able to support, emotionally and sometimes financially, friends who were raising children of their own. I've been able to work and live in several countries other than the US. This particular life I have were made a lot easier by the fact I didn't actually have children. Decades of activism have enabled us to challenge many long-accepting limiting roles for women, and women now have more control over their reproductive decisions because of that activism. My hope is that current and future generations of women will continue to defend and expand on these rights. I'm glad she pointed that out in her story because obviously her divorce would have been a lot more challenging if she had had children. So many marriages break up, and I'm not saying that that's a reason people shouldn't have children, but divorces are hard on kids, especially if the parents are using them as pawns to try and hurt the other parent. I am happy that women have a lot more control over their reproductive decisions. However, women still have a really hard time getting tubal ligations done, so we have some work to do in that area. However, I am happy that women are able to use birth control. That is a step in the right direction. Here's what 59-year-old Carmen says. My husband and I are childless by choice. We found neither of us was passionately for or against having children, but we did agree that certain things made having children more problematic. She lists 3 particular things. The first is age. I was 39 and my husband was 46. There's medical literature that shows that older parents raise the risks of having a child with special needs. Besides that, would we have the energy as we got older to take care of our children? Number 2, we are both twins, so the odds seem very high that our firstborn would be a multiple. Number 3, we are different faiths. I'm a Christian and my husband is Jewish. My own parents had been religiously divided, and I wasn't sure if I wanted that pressure of being scrutinized when deciding what faith teaching we wanted to give our children. Our marriage is a good one. We have absolutely no regrets making the choice to not have children. We're working on our own arrangements for living with assistance as we grow older, planning for probable needs that children might take care of for their parents otherwise. There's a couple of things that she brings out here that most people don't talk about that I'm really glad she mentioned. The probability of her having some challenges with her pregnancy or having a special needs child definitely could have been a possibility. And I think people have to ask themselves, are they up to the task of possibly taking care of a child if that's what was to happen? And I don't think that everybody feels like they'd have the skill set or even the desire to do that. If you're watching this and you're a twin, give me a thumbs up down in the comments below if you love being a twin. And if you don't love being a twin, then give me a thumbs down, because I feel like a lot of people that are twins say it's a super amazing and interesting experience and very different than just having another sibling. My sister actually has a set of twins, which I think is pretty cool. Her boys are still quite young, but they definitely are very different. And then she also mentions their religious differences, and I know that there have been couples who believe completely differently and they somehow make it work. And if that's what works for them, then so be it. But I do think if you have children, it probably makes it a lot more challenging, because you can teach kids both aspects of your religion, but it might make it a little more confusing or a little bit more challenging, especially if both partners didn't want to teach their kids both options for religion. I mean, they made the decision that they thought was the best decision, so I'm glad that they're happy with their choice. Joanna, aged 46, says this. My mom says I told her at a very young age that I did not want any kids of my own. When I was 31, my fiance told me there was absolutely no way that he wanted to have kids. Aside from a few days here and there, I've never doubted my choice, even though people told me all the time, oh, just wait, you're going to have a baby, and you'll love it when you meet her. They also say things like, don't you want someone to take care of you when you're old? In my opinion, those are not good reasons to bring human beings into the world, nor are they conducive to raising kids that are going to be happy, healthy, and responsible members of society. While some parents take pity on me, I am thrilled with my life and my decision to not have any children. I'm so glad she was able to find someone who felt exactly the same as her, because I think one of the comments I tend to get a lot is people say, oh my goodness, I can't find anyone to date that doesn't want kids. Everybody wants kids. But you know what? If you're on this channel and you search long enough, you're gonna find someone that leaves a comment that says, hey, I don't want kids either. If you don't want kids, leave it down in the comment section below, because someone else might find your name and then maybe you guys can connect somehow and, I don't know, happily ever after? I mean, I'm not a matchmaking service or anything, and I never would be, but keep looking. Don't lose hope, because there is somebody out there for you. I believe that. I find it so funny when people are like, I don't want kids, and then someone says to you, oh no, like when you meet your baby, you're gonna love your baby. I mean, most parents aren't gonna say, I don't like my baby when they meet their baby, but if you don't want to be a parent, you might just not have those bubbly, warm, motherly feelings towards your child, or fatherly feelings towards your child if you've never wanted to be a parent. 65-year-old Judith has this to say about her child-free choice. I always thought I didn't want children, but it's hard to distinguish that choice from the restrictions on life choices brought about through having a chronic, disabling illness, rheumatoid arthritis. There were pressures in my late 20s and 30s from people wanting to know if I might have children. And I'm not ashamed to say that this was a really useful way to be able to deflect such inquiries by pleading my health problems. If I ever had doubts during my 30s, all I had to do was see a young mom that was fit and healthy, struggling with 2 small children, bags of shopping, and a stroller, and I came to my senses. When my husband died suddenly, nearly 9 years ago, I did briefly regret that we had no children. But that feeling faded as I got to grips with my new life, and now, at age 65, I enjoy living alone with my cats. I do know that as I get older, I'm going to have more problems because of my health. I will be on my own, but I am building my resilience and honing my coping skills. I love that she brought up the fact that seeing a healthy, fit, young mother struggling with children made her realize, oh my goodness, I have health challenges. How would I be able to manage children? I'm not at all saying people with health challenges can't manage to be good parents, because I'm sure there are plenty of them out there, but I think it's a little bit more difficult. I do think though it's a little bit sad that she's not just able to say, hey, I don't want to be a parent, and people just accept her choice, that she has to use an excuse. And I'm not saying that she shouldn't use this as a reason. But the fact that she feels like she has to use her health challenges as a reason that she isn't going to have children or can't have children, because people don't respect the fact that she just may be a woman that doesn't want kids. And I'm really, really hoping that the way people think about this is going to change, because we shouldn't have to give an excuse for why we don't want kids. We should just be able to say, hey, I don't want to be a mom, or I don't want to be a dad, and for people to say, all right, that's a choice, good for you. I think it's going to be a while until we get there, but my fingers are crossed on this one. It's going to happen, eventually. 51-year-old Anne says, when I was a little girl, the only thing I dreamed of becoming was a mom. I loved to fantasize about my future family, even picking names for my kids. As an adult, I still wanted to be a parent. It wasn't until my mid-30s, when I was happily settled with a partner who I would have considered parenting with, that we discussed it. And we came to the conclusion that we were really happy without kids. I didn't feel like I had the energy to be a parent and have a demanding job. I've never questioned my decision, and I would definitely consider adopting or fostering if I decided I ever wanted to be a parent. If I wake up someday in the future and I want more kids in my life, I know there will always be ways to volunteer, teach, foster, or coach. I love that. Someone else that would foster or take care of kids that already are on the planet, which I think is amazing. And I also love this part because there's sometimes this thought that the only way to help the future generation is to be a parent. And that's so not true. There are so many community programs, like she lists here, where you can be involved in a child's life, where you can mentor them, you can teach them, you can be a big brother or sister to them. And I'm so glad that they brought this up and that they have a desire to do that, because I think that's a really important aspect of life as well. You can make a difference in a child's life if that's what you want to do. Check out the video that appears on your screen to find out what some parents are saying about their choice to have children. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next week. And remember, you are never alone.